More than any other game in the trilogy, DKC3's overworld maps feel like a cohesive part of the wider world. Unlike the first two games, you're no longer bound to a world and are free to leave at any time. You're also able to swim in the various bodies of water, where you might just find a hidden cave or new area. It's one of the many things DKC3 gets right, and it's high time we give the various locations of the Northern Hemisphere their time in the sun. This is part 51 of Overthinking Donkey Kong Country 3. The game starts with Dixie cliff diving into a small part of the main Northern Hemisphere body of water and swimming to shore. She reunites with Wrinkly and Funky, meets Bazaar, the first Brothers Bear, and is saddled with Kiddy Kong, her cousin and partner in crime for this game. Right away, the pacing of this game is different to the ones that came before. Instead of launching straight into the first level, there's meeting characters, hearing exposition, and exploring the new overworld. Taking the motorboat across the water, they arrive at the first world of the game, Lake Orangutanga. It's such a different experience than Congo Jungle or Gangplank Galleon. Those two worlds have clear visual themes. Lake Orangutanga might have a big old lake in the middle of the map, but it's surrounded by trees, dotted with large wooden structures, and even has the base of a snowy mountain in the corner. There's a sort of consistent inconsistency here. What I mean is, it's not one note, but paradoxically feels bland. Pine trees, autumn leaves, lake, boardwalks, mills, snow. It's a messy sort of visual that doesn't clearly communicate any particular idea or mood. And this applies to the entire game. As we'll see in the later episodes, they're all very much the same. Most maps have bodies of water, green grass, and trees, with the only real outlier being K3. It's kind of a double-edged sword. On one hand, this makes Lake Orangutanga sort of blend in with the rest of them, but on the other hand, the entire game has this consistent visual identity. And that big picture thinking is something I feel Donkey Kong Country 2's Crocodile Isle would have benefited greatly from. Also, given the name, you'd be forgiven for thinking that DKC3 was opening with a water-themed world, but very little of Lake Orangutanga actually involves the lake, and the levels reflect this. Lakeside Limbo is our first look at the gameplay of DKC3, and it's honestly just okay. The music isn't anything special, and while I dig the boardwalk tile set, it's not exactly a home run. The level design is kinda meandering too, lacking any core design principle or momentum. But it does have water and a gorgeous background, so there's that. And it's not without some interesting features. You get a feel for the new gameplay additions Kiddy brings to the table, and it manages to balance parallel paths well, with the roofs of the structures and shallow lake water beneath the boardwalk.
Under the boardwalk.
And like Jungle Hijinks and Pirate Panic, Lakeside Limbo features our first animal buddy of the game. Meet Ellie the elephant, the only real new animal buddy in DKC3 and Rambi's replacement. She can't do much here, but as we'll see later, she's a pretty versatile and fun new addition to the game. The lackluster introduction isn't made any better by the following level, Doorstop Dash. It's our first mill level, a huge area broken up by timed shutters operated by levers. And that's probably the biggest takeaway of Doorstop Dash, just the sheer size of it. There are comparable levels in DKC2 for sure, but in general, I'd say Donkey Kong Country 3's levels, on average, are a lot larger. So in that sense, it's impressive. Front-loading the game with a look at the increased scale. Between Doorstop Dash and Tidal Trouble, we're given our first look at an in-world open area. The Kongs jump into the lake and are free to swim wherever they want, meeting Barnacle on Barnacle's Island or finding Smuggler's Cove, a hidden banana bird cave under the bridge. As a kid, this detail blew me away, and I think I'll always have a soft spot for it. I feel the game picks up with Tidal Trouble. It's much like Lakeside Limbo, with a greater focus on water, and the difficulty ramped up. The main gameplay element is the moving water, pushing you back towards the start of the level. It's not too difficult, but it's definitely harder than the previous two. But that's it for water levels in Lake Orangutanga, as the last two are Skidder's Row and Murky Mill, our first snow level, and one more mill level. Skidder's Row bucks the DKC trend of having the fourth level of the first world be a water level, and feels weirdly symbolic of DKC3's status as the black sheep of the trilogy. It's a fine level though. Murky Mill's fine too, and revolves around Ellie. It's interesting that, while an Animal Buddy showcase level, the gameplay is centered around one of her disadvantages, in that she's scared of mice. It's a fantastic idea for a level, and yeah, the level's pretty good, I guess. We meet Swanky for the first time in the game here, as well as Cranky. Not much to say about either. Belcha's the boss, and he could be the most unique boss in the trilogy to date. A giant barrel that belches up other barrels. Break one to reveal the knick-knack inside, throw it into Belcha's mouth, and he'll, belch, sending himself flying backwards and eventually into the pit behind him. This battle's interesting in that Belcha can't directly hurt you, but if you don't figure out how to beat him, there's a pit waiting for you on the other side too. Someone in the comments of that video made a great point about how Belcha's an interesting take on the boss format of DKC. In the original game, bosses were larger versions of common enemies, but Belcha's a larger version of an item, and one that we usually find helpful. I don't know, I thought it was a cool detail. Unlike Congo Jungle and Gangplank Galleon, I don't feel there's a strong narrative or theme running through Lake Orangutanga. It's very much business as usual, getting players back into the swing of things. The world does focus a bit on Kitty and Ellie, arguably the two most prominent gameplay changes, and it does a good job of getting us up to speed there. There's no narrative reason for the Kongs to be here though, it just happens to be the first place they check. Lake Orangutanga has a vacation vibe to it, so I suppose it isn't the worst place for Dixie to be looking for DK and Diddy, and I guess it's a pretty good introduction to the world of DKC3 as well. I just wish there was more I could say about it all. In retrospect, the opening of Donkey Kong Country 3 had its work cut out for it. Not only did Lake Orangutanga have to compete with Congo Jungle and Gangplank Galleon, two top-notch openers, it had to do this while balancing the differing contexts of new and returning players, all while also introducing DKC3's new overworld. I think all things considered, it did pretty well, just not as well as it could have. So ends the first recap video. I suppose Lake Orangutanga does what it needs to do. It reintroduces us to the gameplay, shows us a ton of new stuff, and is just generally pretty damn fun. I think that's all. On to Kremwood Forest.